What's going on, F1 fans? This is Alex, and that's Eileen, and this is it's lights out F1, and today we're going to be talking the Monza race in Italy. Today, the GP was pretty exciting. Lots to talk about this weekend. I don't want to really get into the race quite yet. I kind of want to get her take, and I want to give you my take on what we thought of sprint racing, what we thought of qualifying, and what we think this is all led to, and then we can talk about the race. How about that, Eileen?
Sure.
Okay, so I think sprint race. I enjoy the format. I think it makes the weekend a little bit more fast-paced, more reason to watch a Saturday for people that don't necessarily like to watch practice as much as, say, myself.
Mm-hmm.
You
like to watch practice.
I do.
I don't. I mean, I like it. I like that there's the extra race. Two things I don't like. One, I can't control. I have to work on Friday. It makes it very difficult to watch it. And you have to watch it. It's not like you want to miss it. You know, for me, I have to watch it live.
Well, she has to watch it live. Yeah, that's correct.
I don't want to hear about it on social media before we've watched it. So
because she can't stay off of social media and just wait.
I can't.
So I'm, on the other hand, can definitely wait and stay off social media until you ruin it for me.
Well, it's hard to run an F1 account and not post about it. So I'm sorry.
I know. We have to stay up to date. You're right.
But the other thing I'm not a fan of is I'm not a fan of it, like the race setting the grid for the actual GP. Okay. I just don't. I like traditional qualifying better.
Okay. So, I think we kind of talked about this over the weekend. And I think we kind of both agreed, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, that finishing the race of the sprint race shouldn't set the race positions for the main race, right?
Correct.
So where you qualify on Friday is where you start the race on Sunday. And so that would make the sprint race essentially a separate entity.
Yeah, like
its own thing. And there could be its own little championship. So essentially, whoever wins the rate, like the drivers' championship, might not actually win the sprint championship.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, because if there's only going to be 2 or 3,
what if there's 5 or 7?
I mean, maybe, yeah, sure. I think that even giving more places points, and so it matters a little bit more. I mean, for me, I think
so. Like the top 5 of the sprint race?
Yeah, maybe like the max person gets 10 points or something. It's a race. To me, it's a race.
Yeah, so I think where you qualify on Friday, you reverse grid. You reverse grid for Saturday's sprint race.
I mean,
of the top 8.
Sure.
So because the top 8's reversed, and then you give points to the top 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would keep it exciting, and I just think you don't want to race too hard, but I just don't like that it sets the grid for Sunday, because in reality, it's still like they don't really take a whole lot of risks during the actual sprint race. Right. I mean, the midfield, yeah, I feel like that's where you tend to see a little bit of overtaking, but even this weekend, Max didn't really even try to, overtake Bottas. But they did know that he had a 5-place grid penalty, so he was going to get pole anyways. But there wasn't a whole lot at the front. And so it's, like people aren't going to take a risk and crash out and have it affect Sunday.
I mean,
so
right.
I don't know. And then also for me, I'm like, some teams' race pace is better than their qualifying pace.
Oh, always.
So I'm like, I don't know. Just seems, that's the one thing I don't like about it.
Yeah, I think 18 laps was a little too short. I think we saw a little of a DRS train kind of happening during that. And you're right. Bottas winning didn't matter to Max, because Max, as long as he knew he kept everyone else behind him, he was still going to finish and get pole position.
Yeah, which is the other thing. I'm like, it's just so weird. Like, I don't know, like getting the Speed King award for being, the fastest in sprint qualifying, which is essentially qualifying on every other weekend. But then you win the race and you get pole position. It just seems kind of weird. I like the sprint races. I think it's fun to have something extra, but I just think it should be still traditional. Like maybe they do the sprint race on Friday, then they qualify on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not bad. I mean, I hear people say they don't want 2 race winners, so they don't want to have 2 separate events, but I don't think it really matters. I don't think
But they're giving them awards.
I know, I agree. So they're still getting things, too. So I'm like, I think they should just separate it, give them points. The points matter for all 3 things. The constructors still get the points from it, and the driver's standings also get points from it, too. Yeah. But I think it should be its own separate thing where it doesn't affect the GP, because I agree with a lot of what the people say is that the GP should be its own separate. It's the whole reason for the weekend, So and that.
Well, it matters the most.
Yeah. So and I think qualifying is separate and different than the sprint race too.
Yeah.
I do agree. But I don't care if it's on a Friday. I know you got to work and stuff, but.
I mean, I'm just saying, we're still going to watch it regardless. But
well, what we did see and what can happen is, like you said, the midfield can kind of make some moves. And we saw early on Daniel Ricciardo and Lando kind of make some good moves in the sprint race right off the jump. And that's kind of how they got to the position that they were in,
Well, they started on the softs. So Lewis had a bad start.
Lewis had a bad start, yeah. And that kind of started Lewis's weekend, going all the way back to 4th. And then
after he was top every practice session, I think.
Yep.
So, interesting. But yeah, no. I mean, I think the midfield has nothing to lose. They're like, I'm going to go for it, and we're going to, do whatever we need to do. Whereas the people at the front, they're like, they don't want to, jeopardize their car or whatever prior to the Sunday race. So.
Right. And then so this weekend, the sprint race did make the grid for the GP, and that's kind of what they're doing this year with these 3 sprint races. And with Bottas having that penalty, we saw Max in the front. He got pole.
Yes. Valtteri was good all weekend. Qualifying top, fastest.
Yeah.
Won the sprint race.
Yep.
And then had to start P20.
Well, that's because he took a whole new engine and turbo, and a whole bunch of parts came in brand new for this weekend for him. So there was a reason why he had to start back there.
Yeah, no, of course.
And it was kind of a reason, I think, why he had such a fast pace over everybody else, which if you noticed a few weeks ago when Sergio took that penalty, how much faster he was over the rest of the field.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us, I guess, up to the race. Or anything else that we're going to shine about on the sprint?
No, nothing else. That's it.
Because we had Gasly go out on the sprint.
Yeah,
and that kind of sucked.
It did.
And I think that kind of wrecked the whole weekend for him because he ended up not even finishing and had a DNF in the
lap
GP.
1, I think. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. Such a bummer. He's been doing so good all season.
He has been. So this little fluke accident is it is what it is,
Right.
So the start of the race today, we had Max and Daniel in the front row. And
Max and Daniel in the front. Very strange. Yes.
I know. And it was a good start. Max didn't have the greatest start, but it was...
His start was fine.
Yeah.
He didn't have as good of a start as Daniel. But McLaren has been fast all weekend. So as expected, I mean, Max said prior to Sunday he was not even expecting to be in the position he was in. So, I think that was exciting for him. But McLaren was looking good. So we were excited. We're like, okay, what's going to happen? Is, Ricciardo going to be able to win? Is he going to be able to hold him off, going into this morning? So Ricciardo had a great start.
He did.
And was in first at the first turn, so
pretty much let it right from the start. And, Yeah, it was pretty exciting stuff right from the jump right there. There was a little bit of some touching that was happening in the midfield in the back there.
Well, Lewis had a good start, so Lewis was in fourth, had a good start. I think got the jump on Norris.
Sort of, yeah. They battled it out a little bit, but there was a couple of things.
Yeah, and then going into the next round of turns, turn 4 to be exact, our rivals came together there. Lewis went off the track and ended up behind Max and Norris again.
He did.
So a little touch there, a little kiss.
Yep, first lap fighting.
Max didn't want to, back off. And
yeah, definitely Lewis kind of conceded and took the curbs and then tried again later. And that kind of was it for the beginning there. There was a yellow flag due to, I can't remember. Giovinazzi spinning, right? He had a really good start too, actually.
Well, he went over the curb, the same curb at turn 4 and hit Carlos.
And kind of spun out.
He ended up getting a 5-second penalty.
He did for colliding with another racer. And, but really was looking good up until that point.
Yeah.
For sure. And then that kind of...
Yeah, that kind of leveled out there. There was like a second in between Max and Ricardo, a second in between Lewis and Norris.
It was a virtual safety car, so just essentially what that does is that doesn't let them come, close to anymore. That just kind of, wherever you are on the track, you have to keep the same exact distance you are away right now from your other racer. So they can't get any closer. Kind of just stops everything from happening, which is like a fair way to slow the race down instead of bringing out a safety car, which would then snake everybody back up into a snake form.
Well, they got the car off the track really, really fast. Yeah. So it was like only 2 laps, I think, actually, with the virtual safety car. But after that, it was pretty low action because the top 4 were, within a second of each other. Norris was falling back a little bit. But really the only action was Bottas. He was on the charge from P19.
Yeah, right away.
Right away.
Making moves.
So that was a lot of overtaking for him. And then we were just slowly awaiting the pit stop to start.
Yeah, it's funny you say the pits to start because that's kind of where all the drama kind of started for today. Monza was crazy, and I kind of was going into this weekend kind of thinking Monza was just going to be kind of boring and kind of just a DRS train between everybody in the midfield. But the stops kind of...
Yeah, so Ricardo stopped first.
Yep. And his went fine.
And then did Norris stop too?
I don't know.
Ricardo, so it was weird. The announcers were like, oh, what I would do if I was Red Bull, I would go out and pretend like I was, going out for a pit stop to pull McLaren to do the first pit stop.
Yeah, but I think McLaren's
No, but hold on. Interestingly enough, when McLaren was out, Red Bull was out in the pits too, which they said was illegal, and then Max didn't come in. So what does that mean?
I think they came out the same, right around the same time as McLaren. I think honestly, if McLaren was out, team was out first, and then they were probably following suit, and then they probably said.
And Max decided not to come in.
Do the opposite of whatever Daniel does. So if Daniel goes in, you stay out. If vice versa,
Yeah, so he stayed out for 1 lap.
Yep.
And then came in, and had the worst pit stop I've ever seen in the history of Red Bull doing pit stops.
Yeah, traditionally they're the fastest in the world. They still have
1.88.
Yep, Guinness Book World Record setting.
It was 11 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? And the crazy thing now looking back at it is all the wheels were on. It was the light that didn't censor for him to be able to go. So they did all their stuff.
Well, that's because I think one of the front tire wasn't tight, so that's why the drill guy had to go back on the tire and tighten that wheel again.
Crazy.
So that really set the next thing in the motion.
That just set it all off. Okay,
yeah.
let's just say it like
so. Then Max got out, started doing his lap. That's when
his engineer comes on the radio and he's like, Norris is ahead, and he's like, yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Not happy. Couple expletives in there. Not being able to really understand
Well, during that time, that's when Lewis had pit and Max was finishing his out lap and coming around on the straights from his outlap, Lewis was coming out.
McLaren got the overcut
Yep.
on Lewis.
He did with Lando, and Lewis was essentially getting the overcut on top of Max at that time, kind of cut in right at the right time, but the momentum with Max coming off the high speed kind of put them together into turn one.
Well, let's back it up a little. You're like kind of going way too fast through the biggest item that happened today.
Okay.
So Lewis is coming out of the pits. The line ends for the pit lane. He cuts over. Max is behind him. He's coming up. I always have to like use my hands. He's coming up.
He is.
And he brakes late as they're going into the turn. Lewis is taking the turn. Max is going to go wide. Okay.
Okay.
He's going to go wide.
Yeah.
It's a little too small of a gap, so he hits the outside.
Yep.
Goes over the curb.
Hits
doesn't turn his wheel to take the like escape area with the other curb.
Sure.
Keeps trying to, run the racing
you're
line.
Right. He was trying to stay on the track as long as he could.
Launches himself. His Red Bull car got wings.
And flew
on top of Lewis.
You should make that a meme, actually, with the Red Bull.
It's already been done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
People are quick with these things.
I know.
But, yeah, it was – I literally was standing up trying to make a cup of coffee, and it was all happening. I was like, oh, my God, Max is right there. This is crazy. This is crazy. And then it's like, whoa, what? It was crazy. It was crazy. Was it not like the craziest thing you've seen? I'm like, is he really in the air? And then it was like, I think we were on Max's car camera, and so all you could see was like his front wing, and then he was just like up in the air.
Yeah.
And they were like, what just happened? And then we were just like,
well, what happened was he's sitting on top of Lewis's car.
Yeah, but really like super scary. Honestly, super scary. Watching it in slow motion is even scarier to see. Literally, Lewis gets hit in the head with a car. With the car. Yeah. So, thank God for the halo.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the halo. I think the halo has saved a lot of guys' lives, especially in these last few years that I've really been watching every single race through and throughout. And I'm all for it. We should keep it. That shouldn't even be a question, and I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, so.
But wow. That was like, I don't know what it is about these sprint weekends, but is there a curse?
Lewis has a curse, I think. He didn't have the greatest start. And honestly, you didn't even mention your Tiff. Yesterday, she was so angry because Lewis had a bad start, and it took me all day to get her to not have a bad mood anymore. And then today, this happens, and then she kind of had a bad mood, but I think she got over it.
I did get over it. I'm still like, wow, I can't believe that happened. But I was disappointed yesterday because Lewis had the pace. He was faster than the McLarens, but couldn't get past him. And I was like, man, we got to keep the championship battle close. And I've been saying for like 5 episodes.
But it's still close. Nothing's changed.
No, I know, because they crashed into each other, so they both didn't get any points. Okay, great. Great.
If anything, it's kind of bringing the midfield up to them now, so making it maybe more interesting.
Yeah, Valtteri's at I think 160 points, so who knows? Maybe he wins the world championship.
Yeah,
if these two can't stop crashing into each other.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
But no, I was mad that he had a bad start. I have been wanting Lewis to get his 100th win for ever, it feels like. So I guess we have to wait another weekend.
Yeah. Which in 2 weeks' time is Russia, and traditionally
Bottas wins.
Bottas has had a good run there.
Which I'd be fine with too, because I've been wanting Bottas to win all season as well. And it's just, it's his last season now with Mercedes. So.
Yeah, and he's kind of giving it all.
Yeah, no, he looked great this weekend. So.
But honestly, Daniel Ricciardo today had the win. I'm going to say right from the start. His competitor was Max, and after the pit stop finagle with Max, and then him DNFing with Lewis, the two biggest competitors. It was.
He had it in the bag.
He had it in the bag. It wasn't an easy drive, but he had it. You know, his teammate was right behind him. Someone had to get through him first, you know. And I think it was well deserved for Daniel. I think he's needed.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good driver. I like him. I'm a big fan. In fact, that's my team, honestly. I like Lewis. I like Lando, and I like Daniel a lot.
Yeah, no. It was good to see.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Lando, I think, a little bit more because, you know, he hasn't won before. But it was really great to see Daniel win.
And I think Lando will get his soon. I mean, look where he's always at right now. You know, it's just a matter of time.
It's coming.
You know, it is coming. So speaking of that, Daniel won his first podium since 2018, which was with Red Bull. So
Monaco, right?
Monaco, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. When he did the...
Yeah, and so it was well deserved. And
he's so fun. Like,
going
he's just
1-2 today, you said this was the first time
this was the
year.
First team this year.
First team to do that this year. And this is the first time McLaren's done it in a long time as well.
This is McLaren's first win in 8 years since Lewis was on the team. Win.
Yeah. So that's big.
Crazy.
Big deal. So that's why it's always fitting to have a shoey, and that's why Zach Brown went up there to get the shoey. And because I am a McLaren fan.
Oh, you're going to do one?
I'm going to see if you can do one.
No.
Here is some golf McLaren shoes. Brand new. She's got to do a shoey.
I'm not doing a shoey.
No,
those are brand new.
I know. We're not going to do a shoey. But just to show that we are big fans and sneakerheads at the same time. Congratulations, McLaren. We want to see the golf colors back, if you can't tell.
Yes, we want the livery back.
I think we should deserve that, especially for the next one, because you guys went 1 and 2.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
We'd love to see it.
So that kind of didn't really change the driver standings too much because Lewis and Max being out. It kind of just kept it now 5-point gap between the two, and kind of just brought Bottas a little bit closer.
Yeah, but I think actually, I want to say Norris moved a little bit closer to Bottas.
I believe that as well. I believe
the championship battle for the third spot is pretty close. So
it is.
Russell got points again. There was so much going on at the race, and I kind of missed that. But we did notice that he was out-qualified by Latifi.
We did.
For the first time.
But then he got ahead of him in the race and ended up taking 9th. And,
got
points.
Good for him.
Yep.
At the beginning of the race, I was a little concerned because, like, Latifi, I think, was in 9th place. And I'm like, what is going on with Russell? Yeah. But, no, it was great to see. So, a lot of good stuff, actually.
Sure.
This is a good race. And it's funny because I feel like last week we were like, it was a little boring because there's always so much chaos in every other race that we've been used to. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's the end of the triple header. The first race got canceled, and it was going to be
didn't get canceled. They still got their half points.
Okay, but they got canceled. But, we didn't get to see a real good race. And, that, they shouldn't have raced in the weather anyway.
Yeah.
And then last week was,
Yeah. I mean, the exciting thing was seeing the fans. So, which I want to know if everyone, like got COVID.
No, I hope not.
I hope not either. But this weekend it was, I think, half capacity. So it was so much different in comparison to the 2 weekends back to back. But saw some red smoke, still some orange smoke. But
yep.
I feel like they always deliver great with their before the race start with the jets and everything. So that's always cool to see.
It is. So then that kind of wrapped up Monza. Unfortunately, Ferrari didn't win for them. I know Monza, people of Italy.
They still were rather consistent.
They did.
And
after the restart, they stayed in the front pack the whole time. So they were within a few seconds. And if you look after Perez got his penalty for doing that, taking the turn, because that happened, he got a penalty.
So Charles got 4th, right?
Charles got 4th, and then Perez somehow got 5 seconds ahead of Leclerc. And
that's the same person, Charles and Leclerc.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then
Carlos.
Thank you. Which I didn't think was gonna happen. I thought he was gonna follow. Perez was going to end up behind him in 6th, but ended up getting 5th.
No, because when we restarted, everybody was like within a second of each other.
Oh, yeah, they were all
like everybody down, I think, to the Haas's, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is crazy.
Pretty close. Yeah, and so the top 5 or 6, I guess, kind of all finished really close to each other, which was a good race. So maybe that's kind of what it will look like next year with all the cars being different. Fingers crossed, because, this was exciting.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Max take the emergency exit or, and go to fight the next lap or the next 2 laps or whatever it was. Because, their team screwed up, and, that's the disadvantage. And he was
just, and he was, but he was in a bad headspace.
For sure. And he was frustrated.
Did not want to talk to anybody on the radio. And so he went into that corner hot and aggressive.
For sure.
And so that obviously,
so that's
he's not going to back down. He's like, I am going for the win. So I'm not, why would I, concede to somebody into this corner?
Yeah.
And that was his mentality.
Yeah. And, at first I was thinking, just a racing incident, but no, it's not. It wasn't. You're right. He was hot-headed, and that's why the FIA gave him a 3-place grid penalty. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of told me about it.
Yeah, three-place grid penalty. The stewards determined that going into the corner, he didn't have substantial gain on Lewis. That Lewis was still ahead, so he didn't need to give him room in the corner.
Yeah.
So. Red Bull's calling it a racing incident, and Mercedes is taking a completely opposite approach to it. They're like, whatever the stewards decide. Yeah. They're been very not giving their opinion on what it is, even Toto.
Definitely not making Max look good, honestly. And
yeah. No, it's not.
Well, I know. I agree. And hopefully he can adjust that and fix that after this next race, which is in Russia in 2 weeks' time. And
Sochi.
I know. And normally
three places. He's still going to be so competitive. So,
yeah, there's lots of options.
There's a lot of things he can do, and sure. I'd be surprised, if he wasn't extremely competitive. So we'll see. But, we want to not see so many accidents.
Uh-huh. So then who was your driver of the day then today?
I voted for Bottas.
Yeah.
Because not just he had an amazing weekend in general, but he went from P19 to the podium. And on a track that's not the easiest to overtake on. And he was just zooming through. It was almost every couple laps that he was, really picking it up.
And honestly, it wasn't just today. If you want my full opinion, he had the fastest qualifying, so he was the fastest on Friday. He won
on the last lap too. He beat Lewis out while giving Lewis a tow.
He did, and then he also won the sprint race, which gave him 3 points in the drivers' championship, and so that means he was Mr. Friday, he was Mr. Saturday. And he killed it today. He really drove well. So, yeah, I can see why you want to give him that, and I can see why a lot of people on the F1 thing were trying to give that to him, too.
Yeah, he was second.
He was. And I'm going to go with Daniel, and that's who F1 went with. I like what Daniel did yesterday. He proved to be quick off the line yesterday. He proved to be quick off the line today. He was able to maintain his race, just because if Max and Lewis didn't DNF,
he still
would have won. Or there still would have been a high likely chance of him still winning.
I think for me, what was most impressive for him is he's had a challenging year.
Yeah,
and obviously he acknowledged that, but he's had a challenging year, and for him to not be afraid, which I don't know if any of them really get afraid, but going up against Max, who's won so many times this year on the front row, that's got to be intimidating. They obviously used to be teammates, so they have a good relationship, but for me, I'm he got him on the first lap, on the opening, on the jump, and so that was really, really exciting.
But I think they all knew, these Mercedes engine cars knew they were faster in a straight line than Red Bull, and you could kind of see it in some of the qualifying times from Friday that, these Mercedes engine cars were fast.
Yeah. No, good for him. He did a great job. I mean, he kept Max at bay. He, had the pace.
Yeah.
It was impressive. He really didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. So I was, we both were very happy to see him win.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan of McLaren. It was good to see. He deserves it. I like to see them all win. I'm a Lewis fan. I'm a little bit of a Max fan, although I don't like what he did today. I'm a Norris fan. I'm a Ricciardo fan. It's hard, It's kind of why I like F1. They're all kind of good guys at heart, although I'm a little disappointed today in Max. But yeah, I mean, they're all.
And why are you disappointed in Max today?
Honestly, because he could have checked on him on
Lewis.
And here's. But Lewis was trying to reverse the car, and I know you don't want to get too close to the car. I get it, but then he also walked directly behind the car as Lewis was still trying to reverse it.
He literally was walking on the track.
I know.
But for me, I'm like, we've obviously had 2 big accidents between the 2 of them this year, and there was a lot of talk about how people didn't check on him, and Lewis celebrated, and it was, Lewis it was a hollow victory, and, all these things were being thrown around. And then essentially Max literally drove a wheel over Lewis's head, which, okay, I get it. We can argue both sides, but at least being like, hey, you all right?
Sure.
Or like tapping him on the head, or whatever. I would have liked to see that too.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're going to talk. I mean, obviously. They'll get it over with.
And they'll move on because, again, in 2 weeks, they have another race.
Yeah. And that's what they do. And they have been fine since, all the controversy of Silverstone broiled down. They have been super respectful. It's been great to see them interacting, congratulating each other, even last weekend. So they'll get over it. I mean, I'm sure they both were, in the heat of the moment. We're emotional. It's a human nature. So that's why the fans get so crazy and aggressive, I think, at each other, is everyone has their own opinion, and they feel the need, and they have the outlet to be able to, immediately react and say their side of the story. But just glad that everybody's okay.
Yeah, me too. So, that's pretty much all I got. You got anything else?
Well, the only other thing is the seats that changed this week. So we had
Thank you.
a lot of things happen. We ended last week talking about our speculation, and pretty much
things finalized.
Everything came true.
We said that we think that George was going to go to Mercedes.
The first announcement was Valtteri.
So Valtteri went to Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Which I kind of thought maybe it was going to be Williams, but no.
You said Alfa Romeo last week,
I guess
though.
I did, yeah. I saw that. Okay.
So that opened the Mercedes seat. So that was Monday. And then Tuesday morning, we got the notification for Tsunoda and Gasly getting signed again to AlphaTauri.
Yep.
And then we got the official announcement for George to go to Mercedes. On a multi-year contract, we don't know how many years, but...
We'll find out. I'm sure it's going to be 3-ish.
Yeah, what a team that's going to be. It's going to be interesting next year to see those two. So
yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for next year as well with the new cars. They're going to be totally different.
Yeah.
Slower, probably.
Again?
But
slower this year.
but cool. Mm-hmm. And hopefully a little bit more racingness between a lot more teams.
Yeah. And then the only other announcement we had was Latifi got signed again to Williams.
So we have one spot left.
Mm-hmm. And then Alex Albon is going to Williams.
He is. So he's
leaving Red Bull.
Leaving Red Bull, but he has an option to go back to Red Bull. But
yeah, maybe he'll Williams is on the up and up, They've been getting points every race, it seems like. So he might, be happy and really deliver there. So
you're right.
I know he's excited to get back in. So there's only one seat open, which is Alfa Romeo's second seat.
Which they haven't really even decided with yet. You're right, and I think they should announce that pretty soon.
Giovinazzi's driving to survive. That's the quote of the weekend.
That's it. He is. This is his year to drive to survive for sure. He's been doing pretty good, other than what happened after
a little spin
turn
today.
4.
Mm-hmm.
coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, I had a tough race today, so we'll see what happens with that. And then I think that Stroll and Vettel are still up for. It's not finalized.
Yeah,
so.
but we'll see that get finalized pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. I got nothing left. I got
Well, what a day.
It is. I'm
you-
gonna have to rewatch a couple things.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot that probably we all remember Great Britain's and how many things came up after that. So there's definitely going to be a lot of talk. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of media, and you know, we've got a week of downtime before it's race week again. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot. Hopefully the final seat is, figured out, and we can figure out where the TBD race is as well.
I'm sure that'll come up in the next 2 weeks before we get to Sochi in Russia. So
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that is the next race in 2 weeks' time. We'll see you guys then, right?
We'll see you then.
All
We'll
right.
be here.
So that's it for today. If you guys can, subscribe. If you made it to the end, thank you. My name's Alex, and that is Eileen. And this is It's Lights Out F1. And it is a podcast where we do talk about, Formula One racing as American fans, So, again, thank you very much. If you've made it to the end, I appreciate you. We will see you again next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.